So one of the cool things is the ability for AI to generate new organisms, the kinetic self-replication and reconfigurable organisms. Krigman 2021. Let's check it out. Spontaneous self-replication. Stem cells are removed from early stage frog blastula, disassociated and placed in a saline solution, where they cohere into spheres containing 3,000 cells. The spheres develop cilia on their outer surfaces after 3 days. Their collective motion pushes some cells together into piles, which sufficiently large cells develop into ciliated offspring. So it's kind of like a directed evolution of the ability to progenate themselves. Let's see what we can see here. Whoa. Look at the cells coming together, and they're all, reminds me of that, like, there's that one AI, one game, kind of like Snake on the web browsers. And then they mature into, self-moving children. You guys see this? Wow, look how they're moving around. An AI method optimizes the original spheroid shape. So how are they going to change it? Oh, into semi-toroids capable of self-replication. Where are those? Where are those semi-toroids? AI designed shapes, then built, replicated more often. Wow, so they changed the ability, or changed the shape of them based off of AI, and then made them more efficient. That's really cool. I mean, there are definitely times where it's like an interesting question about evolution, like evolution versus AI assisted. So there's a huge thing like with directed evolution where you have a push in one direction to actually have the material be intrinsic to the necessity to actually procreate. So like, for example, the ability to photosynthesize better, or in order to make more of a specific compound, will actually allow those organisms to grow faster, be quote unquote more fit, and therefore replicate more often in the population. So this is like Francis Arnold's directed evolution research and stuff like that, in order to create new and differing enzymes and proteins that have never existed before outside of nature. But she's using evolution as the mechanism there. I have read a paper of hers where they are using AI to kind of help with like what actually gets chosen out of all of the different possibilities. But because sometimes you don't have the ability to have that many generations, or sometimes it's an obvious bad choice. But using organoids and AI, this is a really cool idea. Reconfigurable organisms. Almost all organisms replicate by growing and then shedding offspring. Some molecules also replicate, but by moving rather than growing. They can find and combine building blocks into self-copies. Here we show that clusters of cells, if freed from a developing organism, can similarly find and combine loose cells into clusters that look and move like they do, and that this ability does not have to be specifically evolved or introduced by genetic manipulation. Finally, we show that artificial intelligence can design clusters that replicate better and perform useful work as they do. This suggests that future technologies may, little outside guidance, become more useful as they spread, and that life harbors surprising behaviors just below the surface, waiting to be uncovered. That's cool. Okay, so here's the that's the significance, but here's the abstract. All living systems perpetuate themselves via growth of on or in the body, followed by splitting, budding, or birth. We find that synthetic multicellular assemblies can also replicate kinematically by moving and compressing disassociated cells in their environment into functional self-copies. Wow. That's so like the urge to evolve. This form of perpetuation, previously unseen in any organism, arises spontaneously over days rather than evolving over millennia. It's kind of like the interesting, like how did life evolve out of non-life, right? You know, the idea of RNA world and RNA world hypotheses, you know, but they have to start with something that's not living. We also show how artificial intelligence methods can design assemblies that postpone loss of replicative ability and perform useful work as a side effect of replication. This suggests other unique and useful phenotypes can be rapidly reached from wild-type organisms without selection or genetic engineering, thereby broadening our understanding of the conditions under which replication arises, phenotypic plasticity, and how useful replicative mechanisms may be realized. See, this is what I was talking about before with direct evolution. You pretty much are selecting or using genetic engineering. Like you have to. So you have to like kind of push and select for specific types. I think, I don't know what types these are. They're from frog blastulas. They're really cool, huh? Yeah, exactly. It's a very cool, like, what is this, the first, how did life start? You know, type of idea. And I love the addition of AI there. That was really, really cool. Kriegman 2021.